Hello. I had a very deeply moved heart from the responses to the final question in the vice presidential debate last night. I'm sure the whole world has a profound response to all of that, and I wanted to share my perspective and my feelings about it for the purpose of just having my voice heard, and in case it's helpful to anyone out there. But first of all, I loved the question, and how amazing that a young child would pose that question. And that right there tells me that America is awesome. And I loved that response from Pence, that he recognized that, oh my gosh, if kids, I think she also did the same. Both of the debaters, both candidates, responded as eloquently as they could, and loved both of their responses. However, I was kind of hoping one of them or both of them would say, you know what, you're right. We've been hostile to each other, and that's unnecessary. But it is a presidential election, and the idea that they have to prove something to everybody and be a certain way to get votes, I mean, it is kind of the way the game is played. Let's just face it. But the heart of this question is, how can we Americans be led to be loving and kind to one another when our own presidential candidates are treating each other with such hostility? Well, here's the thing that we are not teaching our children, and we are not doing ourselves. We ought not look outside of ourselves for the demonstration of love and then copy it. We have to be it, regardless of what's going on outside of us, regardless of how insane the world is looking outside. No matter what's going on, no matter what's on TV, no matter what the news says, we have a choice to act from a different place. We can sit with ourselves and say, who are we going to be today, regardless of what's going on outside. The way we've been playing the game, the way we've been living life, is we let whatever's outside of us guide us, and we copy it. Let's stop doing that. Let's not do that. Let's teach our children. How do we demonstrate it to them? But let's also have the conversation. Look inside. What feels better? Does it feel better to be angry and hurtful? You know, if it does, then do that for now. But before long, if we take responsibility and realize that our actions create the outcome, we'll start seeing that, you know what, I don't like the way this is going. We can choose to take the better road. We can choose to see through the clouds. We can choose to be loving and kind, compassionate and understanding and forgiving. Let's just try it for a week. If everyone would just, for a week, be forgiving and kind and loving and compassionate. Now, trying to do that with a whole bunch of emotional baggage is going to be challenging. But hey, man, it's one day at a time. Let's forgive each other for our failures, because we're going to fail. Let's stay out of the ego's playground. How do we do that? That is a whole nother video. But it's possible. And it starts with acknowledging that we have a choice. Acknowledging that even though we were beaten as a child, even though we were sexually molested by a father for 25 years, and I'm not undermining any of that. I was a Holocaust victim. I wasn't, but all the reasons that all the excuses that we make for being nasty people, we have to take responsibility for that. And until we take ownership of our shit and then choose to move through it, nothing's going to change. And here's the thing, we're only responsible for ourselves. And yeah, I realize that now too. And I realize that all the things in my life that were crappy, sometimes they were because of someone else. But if I let that run me, I have no power. I'm going to take ownership of those things and say, you know what, even though this happened, I'm going to forgive the person that did it. And I'm going to honor myself, honor my higher self, not my ego self. And I'm going to treat others with love and forgiveness, and that includes myself. And sometimes my reaction will be not compassionate and loving, and I'll catch it and I'll try again. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. And that's all we need to do, is be the change we want in the world. If the world looks crappy, then let's stop seeing it that way. And I know a lot of people are going to argue with me and say, no, that doesn't work. That's fine. We're all going to do this in our own time. But for those of you who are willing to say, you know what, I've had enough of this. What can I do? There's only one thing we can do. Change the way we see the world. Not like rose-colored glasses type of way where we stick our face in the sand and bury it and pretend like everything's okay. But look at what's going on inside of your mind. Align your mind with the truth of love and compassion and kindness and peace. That's the only way you're going to feel the peace. It's there. It's surrounding us all the time. We just have been manipulated by the media, and we've been trained to respond, to fight, to hurt the person in front of us that we think is causing the problem. But we all have a responsibility. There's no fight if there's no one to fight. If we lay down, I'm not saying we shouldn't have war right now when we need to. Our world has been like this for a really long time, and it's going to take a really long time to get to the place where we can lay down our arms. But in our emotions, we can stop feeling attacked by someone cutting us off on the freeway. They're just doing their thing. Maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe they've got their own issues. You know, they do have their own issues. Let it go. Don't add to it. Don't fall into the trap. There's two traps. Love and fear. Well, actually, fear is the trap. Love is the solution. And love is a word that can be very confusing. It means gratitude, compassion, valuing yourself at your highest level, not seeing all your mistakes and feeling that you're worthless, but also not feeling like you're arrogant and know everything. That was my problem. I had felt like I was worthless because of things that happened in my life. I just felt worthless, and I tried to act better than everybody else to try to overcompensate for my worthlessness. It took years of study and devotion to meditation to see that. But I was a very rebellious, stubborn soul. It took me a long time. I'm hoping that it doesn't take everybody that long, but it might, and that's okay. I have worked to look at myself differently, and I'm able to be compassionate and loving and kind. And I'm still working on it because I'm not perfect, never probably will be. But we each have little pieces of stuff inside of us that are causing us to choose to act out of hostility or anger or grief. We're grief stricken because we've lost something that we loved. We haven't really lost it, but we think that we have. We lost it in this physical sense, but we have to have gratitude for what we had and what we have. And when we focus on what is wonderful, and there is so much that is wonderful if you stop to look, that expands, and that is what creates our future. Sitting in the misery of what's not working only brings more of that. There's a lot of laws of the universe that are making all these things happen. It's not a punishment. We're not being punished by God for the bad things we've done. Our God is loving. The universe is loving. It has, though, some basic ways that it functions. And just try it. Write down all your negative thoughts and then rewrite them to be positive. It may feel really awful. It feels like you're lying, like it's totally out of alignment. But we have to look at ourselves from our highest self. If you're feeling unworthiness, say, I am worthy. I am worthy of love and abundance. Because you are, even though you don't think it. Or if you feel, I am stupid, you could say, I am ingenious. You're very creative. I'm not creative. I am creative. Whatever it is that is there under your skin, causing you to be hostile or violent or angry or depressed or grief-stricken, don't cover it up with makeup or exercising or drinking or gambling or TV watching. Just sit with it and let it bubble up. Don't be afraid of it. It can't hurt you. They're just feelings. They're just emotions. Look at your emotions and ask yourself, where are they coming from? What's there? And it'll happen very slowly. Give yourself permission to lay out all your vulnerabilities on the table. Just you and yourself. No one has to know. It can be totally private. But here's the thing, as you do that and you start looking at your stuff, you'll start realizing that it's all not true. It'll look like it is, but that's just the ego tricking you. The truth is, you, beyond your wildest imaginations, we're created by God. God doesn't create junk. He doesn't make mistakes. But we think. We have changed the way. We have chosen to think differently than how we were created. And it's all good. It's not a problem. The ego is there to protect us, but it's gone too far. It's time to rein it back in. We have a choice to act in violence or compassion, hatred or love. And if responding out of love or compassion or gratitude is hard, then get guidance. Ask. You can pray, You can meditate. There's books on it. There's so many books out there. Just Google it. You'll find the perfect book for you. I see a future that is beyond amazing. And each and every one of us creates that future based on how we choose to demonstrate who we are in the world. So keep being the awesome you that you are. Forgive yourself for the times that you haven't been. I have a lot of faith because of these beautiful souls coming into the world now, just like that one who asked the question last night. What a beautiful question. What's your answer?